Islam and Islamization. Was there any particular event, any trigger that has compelled you to join Britain First?
Well, look, for many years I was kind of on my soapbox, so I wasn't affiliated with any movement because no one really represented my values, my Christian values. But then I found Britain First, and we are an honest movement, we are a Christian movement, we are not racist in the slightest, we just care about our people. I realised that Islam was a problem many years ago, and then events that followed 7/7, Lee Rigby, really inspired me to take to the streets and let people know what's happening.
Okay. Is that your first visit in Birmingham as Britain First, and how come Birmingham has been selected as one of your destinations?
We've been to Birmingham on many occasions. The last time I was in Birmingham I was actually attacked by the Muslim community, but it's the first big rally that we've held. It's gone very well, apart from the fact that the police have appeased the left and let them get close to us. We chose Birmingham because it's the epicentre of terrorism in the UK.
Okay, have there been any let's say famous extremists coming out of the Birmingham community?
Loads. The majority of them are coming out of the Birmingham community, and Birmingham police are more interested in appeasing them than stopping them.
Okay. Well, I personally do not live in Birmingham, but I have been a regular visitor to the city as I used to go to university nearby, left this university. I can definitely see the city gains a palpably Middle Eastern character, and the demographic makeup of the city changes quite rapidly. It's obvious that when we look at areas like Spark Hills, Park Brook and Small Heath, do you think it's still possible to reverse or at least to slow down this demographic change in the city?
Look,
what would be the necessary steps to...
Well, in terms of demographics, it's very clear, and I've said this to the people of Britain. We are not breeding enough. These people are outbreeding us. We are breeding 1.2 children per couple. They are having between 5.5 and 5.8. What we're looking at is population replacement. If we do not stand up to these people, first of all, we need to stop all Muslim immigration into the country until we can get a hold of what's happening. The terrorism in this country is largely, if not entirely, apportioned to that part of the community. I mean, it's plain to see. They've colonised areas and our government are allowing it, and our people have had enough.
What is your opinion on the current EU immigration policy championed by Angela Merkel, and how do you envision its long-term effects if it continues?
I envision civil war. I think the likes of Poland, the likes of Hungary, who have said absolutely no way are these people are coming into our country, they have the right idea. Britain, I fear, is descending into civil war. In fact, I would say that dissension has already begun.
In what ways Brexit could help to halt Islamization of Britain, given that we already have a large and ever-growing Islamic community which becomes more politically confident and often refuses to assimilate into the whole society?
Well, look, Brexit gives us back control. We are used to being a sovereign nation. We don't need to be dictated to by unelected bureaucrats. We need to get back control of our island. We need to take control of our legislation. We need to dictate who comes into our country, not unelected bureaucrats. As soon as we get out of the EU, if only we had someone with the backbone, because I tell you, Theresa May hasn't got it.
We often hear, especially after each terror attack, how we need to tackle radical Islam. This implies that there is some peaceful Islam on the other side. Is that really the case?
There's no peaceful Islam. There's not two versions of Islam. There's just Islam. The Quranic scriptures, the Islamic scriptures, instruct and incite Muslims to wage jihad against us. There is no peaceful version. It's a lie. It's taqiyya. Don't be fooled. The only reason these people are killing non-Muslims is because it's in the scriptures to do so.
As mentioned before, I have been visiting the city on a regular basis, and there are always at least 2 stalls, Dawah stalls in Birmingham city centre. For those who do not know yet, Dawah is basically an effort by Muslims to gain new converts. In your view, is this simply an innocent form of explaining one's religion, or is it a form of jihad?
No, it's a form of jihad, it's taqiyya.
Okay, Jayda, I'd like to ask you about the grooming gangs. Apparently, out of all the convicts, around 90% of the perpetrators were Muslim, despite the Muslims only making up 5% of the overall population.
Yeah.
Sometimes it involves members of the same community, or even the same country, even the same family. Could you please explain the gross overrepresentation of Muslims in those cases, and are there any aspects of Islamic teachings that are triggering these behaviours?
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, a disproportionate amount of the grooming gangs or the groomers in this country are Muslim. In fact, I don't think I've ever come across a Sikh grooming gang or a Christian grooming gang, only Muslim grooming gangs. And it's very clear, the reason they're doing this is because it says to do it in the scriptures. In the scriptures, the Islamic scriptures, the Quran and the Hadith, it says that Muslims are allowed, Muslim men are permitted to take the kuffar, which is the non-Muslim, women and children as their sex slaves. So there's no coincidence here. This is in their scripture, and for decades the local authorities, the council and the police have covered it up because they didn't want to be accused of being called racist, because all of the perpetrators, all of them, were Pakistani Muslims.
Also, I'm probably not the only person that I've watched your videos when you confronted the convicted, the suspects. I think last one was in Ramsgate in Kent. How did that go? Could you give any update on that case?
I can, yeah. I couldn't speak for a while because I had bail conditions, but we went into court and got them lifted. I can now tell you that the 4 men that I confronted at the court, at their houses and at their work, have all been convicted. 4 of them gang raped 1 British girl 3 times each. It was disgusting. The facts of this case will turn your stomach. This is a British child. Since I exposed these people and put all of the details on social media, I didn't hide any of it. I wanted the British public to know who's living among them. The police have hauled me in. They've got me on some ridiculous, spurious charge, and they're trying to lock me up for 7 years.
I do have one question regarding the tactics that we use. Of course, it's good, like today, to come together and protest, and obviously we like each other comments on Facebook and all sorts. But is there any initiative from Britain First to actually engage in honest debate with the Muslim community members? I mean, that's one area that we're really losing the battle.
Yeah, well, it's not for want of trying. We have arranged several, I mean, I've lost count in fact. We've arranged so many different debates with some high profile speakers. I mean, most of them are in prison now because they are convicted terrorists. But the likes of, say, Anjem Chowdhury, we went to mosques to speak to the imams. You know, we've been banned, myself and Paul were banned from every mosque in England and Wales because they said that we aren't allowed to go in there because it's inflammatory. But we were simply going in there to say to them, look, in your community there's grooming, there's extremism, can we talk to you about it, because our people, our children are being affected by it. The police took us into the High Court, got an injunction, so we can't engage with them. So, you know, basically there is no line of communication between us and them, and anything they do say on that respect is takia anyway, so you can't believe it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had also a case, first-hand experience from my university. I used to go to university here, and last year they've organised a so-called debate on a so-called future of multi-faith society. The reason I put the debates like that is because there wasn't any debates. They didn't even bother to invite anybody who could offer a critical view on Islam or multiculturalism. Nothing at all. So it would be really good to actually try and fill this kind of gap, because that's what really are at a disadvantage.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, they don't want to hear any side other than Islam means peace. It doesn't. It means submission. Islam is a peaceful religion. The Prophet Muhammad didn't do all of these things that it's in the scriptures. It says he's done. You know, they don't want you to. They want you to peddle a false narrative. They don't want someone to say, I've read the Quran and there's over 140 verses that say kill the kuffar. They don't want you to do it, so they don't let you debate.
This one is related also to my previous questions. We have the so-called interfaith meetings in Britain, where the Muslims leader, the Christian and the Jewish come together, tell us that Islam is a religion of peace and how we believe in the same God. The Muslims will always try to paint Islam as a religion of peace, and no, the other two do not ever challenge this claim. Why do you think there is such an unwillingness, such a submissiveness from the other religious leaders not to examine the Islamic motivations for persecution of Christians and so on?
Well, exactly, persecution of Christians, exactly. Do you know what I think? I think all of these Christian leaders, and let me just say right now, I am proud that all of the Christian church leaders, so-called Christian church leaders in this country, have come out and condemned Paul and I. I'm proud of that, because you know what? They are not Christians. You can stand in a church church and call yourself a Christian, you can stand in a stable and call yourself a horse. It doesn't make it so. If they were true Christians, they would not be putting their arms around these Muslims and saying it's okay to worship a false prophet or worship Satan, which is Allah. They should be teaching them the gospel, they should be preaching the gospel, they should be standing up for their faith. The Christian leaders in this country are an absolute disgrace, and they're doing nothing for the Christians worldwide who are being persecuted.
And there are so many gaps that need to be filled. They should be educating the Christians in general and any non-Muslim on the stance in Islam as unbelievers, teach them about Islamic history, teach them about Islamic law, and as well as how to refute the dawah moves that the Muslims keep putting on people, because Islam today is growing among Westerns. If we had a scenario where Islam was supreme in a land and the Sharia was to be the law of the land, those people would be the first to go. I don't understand why do they not see it? I don't know. It doesn't just scratch my head.
I know. It's ridiculous. It's a mixture of self-loathing. There's a problem in this country, and actually it's attacking the youth. That's what it's doing. It's a form of liberal jihad, really, because what's happened is the left wing, the liberal elite, have infiltrated the education system, and what they're doing is they're brainwashing the kids into believing that patriotism's bad, loving your country, having any sort of respect for your national heritage and your culture is bad. It's all negative. Even these days, saying that you're proud to be British or proud to be white, people should be proud to be British, people should be proud to be black, they should be proud to be white, whatever you are, you should be proud of it, okay? But in this country, you can't be. And ironically, as you say, the feminists who are siding with the Muslims are doing absolutely nothing for the women in the Middle East who are being oppressed. They're not allowed to drive, they have to cover themselves.
Or even the girls that have been raped by their so-called Asian.
Yeah,
Asian
exactly.
grooming gangs.
And honour killings, we've got honour killings right here in my country. We've got FGM right here in my country, and these feminazis are doing nothing to tackle that.
You often advocate that we should defend Christian faith both in the UK and also in the whole Western world as one of the key pillars of our identity. Whilst I'm not disputing this, I'm skeptical if such appeal can actually catch the wind in countries where a lot of people are just atheists and quite skeptical. I'm not sure that's enough of a trigger anymore.
Yeah, well, maybe it isn't, but as a Christian, any Christian knows, or they should know, that it is our duty to spread the gospel. So, if someone's an atheist and they're a member of Britain First, there is no problem. If someone is of no faith and they're a patriot to their country, the two can go hand in hand. But what we're trying to do is bring back these Christian values. We are a Christian nation, and if we can bring the nation, the people, back to Christ, we will succeed. God has had his hand on our island for many, many years. We have been extremely successful, but we are now an apostate nation, and I think we are seeing the results of being an apostate nation right now.
My last question is about the Eastern European community in the UK. How do you see their role in British society, and how could they help to tackle the spread of Islam in Europe today?
Look, I've said it a million times. People have come up to me today and said thank you. There's no need to thank me. I'm saying it honestly. I've said it before. I'd take 1 million Poles into this country before I took one Islamic extremist, and I mean that, 1 million, happily. The role that the Polish community, that the people across Europe, that they can contribute to our country, it's been fantastic. We've got a society now, unfortunately, even within the British community, the youth feel that they're owed something because they've been told that they're owed something, So my message would be, for the people of Britain particularly, is not to condemn the people that have come to this country to genuinely contribute, who are, good people, Christian people. I would rather take Christians out of Syria and Pakistan and bring them here than take one Muslim extremist, because the Christians are our people. I don't care whether they're black, white or Asian. If they are in strife and they are being persecuted, we have a duty as Christians to look after them.
Jayda Fransen from Britain First. My name is Weronika Kania. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Thank you.